BDay, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke, if you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put 2 dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Tamir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man will go nuts if he cash you. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
Queen.
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations, I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
I'm getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
In my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all in Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get mad. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat.
This is the sound of every
It's a cut on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans, and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why they hate?
Oh, Deb. I'm Kamala. Okay. Happy 50th birthday to hip hop. When people think of me, okay, they think hip hop. I grew up in Oakland. I'm wearing this shirt. I scream hip hop. Hip hop! So yeah, I'm into hip hop. I want to give it up, okay, to all the greats. So Missy, TLC, ODB, DMX, okay, ABC, and LGBT, okay, Q, Lil Nas X. Giving it up. We here at the residence. It's lit. That's a word I have said before. A wise, okay, man once said, to the window, to the wall, okay, to the sweat, drop down my balls. Skeet, skeet, motherfucker. Skeet, skeet, goddamn. Those words are poetry, okay? I mean, it rhymes. So technically, that's poems. Happy birthday, hip-hop. Kamala out.
Would you like to hear a little bit of my Negro? Would you like to hear a little bit of it? I don't give it to you. This is the Southern Negro. Hey, what up, shawty? What's good with you? You straight, though? I'm just trying to holler at you, you know, I'm just trying to get to know you a little something like that right there. You know what I'm talking about? I want to see you good with it. What's good with you, baby? You got a little booty out there like that. You know what I'm talking about? You act like you want somebody to holler at it. You got to stick it out there like that. You know what I'm talking about? I'm just trying to be real with you, baby girl. You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing serious about that. You know, I just want you to know. And so I sort of picked up this dialect and I ran with it. And to this day, I tell you, I get calls for voiceovers, for comedy events, and all sorts of things, all right?
Well, I wrote this song for the Christian youth. I want to teach kids the Christian truth. If you want to reach those kids on the street, then you got to do a rap to a hip-hop beat. So I gave my sermon an urban kick. My rhymes are fly, my beats are sick. My crew is big and it keeps getting bigger. That's 'cause Jesus Christ is my name. He's a life changer, miracle arranger, born to the virgin mom in a manger. Water to wine, he's a drink exchanger, and he died for your sins. I preach the word, that's my gig, and I rhyme better than Notorious Big. All the other MCs, I wish them well, but if you live in sin, you burn in hell.
You can take my ears, but you cannot take my liberty. They want to cut off my ears like the Taliban, but what they don't know is my ears can grow back like SpongeBob through budding, by the way. Hit me with your best shot, why don't you? Because if that's the best you got, you're a loser. You're such a loser, you missed so bigly, by the way. You had a big opportunity. You could have made my head blow up on TV, but you didn't do that, did you? Now my ear is going to grow back bigger and better. It will have better hearing. I will hear like an owl.
Not that he said he would hear like an owl. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your Sunday Vitamins. Okay, so let's get back into it. Everyone get those likes up. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. All right. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr_A_Shakur, TikTok at Dr. A Shakur, and Twitter at DGoddess27. Now, as per usual, if you don't like what the Queen is cooking, you already know what to do. Okay, so let's get into it. M. Flannery is here. Timber Dan. All right. Shout out to the moderators putting in work. Caesar Sadi is here. Southwest Houston, Texas. Bryce, Lillian, RG Titan. All right. So let's get into it. DSB. Okay. Malca's in the house. Belinda. All right. Anita Harrell, Neon Black, Mommy, Vince I Am, all the way from the UK. Pretty Wings, Miss AP. All right. Shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuning into the Queen. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Mari says Kabbalah ain't next in line until she's endorsed at DNC. Although she doesn't identify as black, she's black enough for America to say no, ma'am, to a black and female president. All right, I agree. Queen Amona Hewitt in the house. Deronda, Cherokee descendant Dale. Okay, so now before we get into that, let's talk about Diddy real quick. Because they went in on Diddy. He posted something, a birthday tribute to his daughter, Chance, who turned 18. Okay, he says, my baby girl turned 18 today. I'm so proud of you, Chance. I love you. at My Fancy Chance. Now, he also posted a picture of him alongside her when she was a baby, or him holding her when she was a baby. Let me just go to it. And people had a lot to say, and I thought it was all unnecessary. Now, I know that we don't like Diddy, okay? If anybody doesn't like Diddy, it's the queen. But now to be just going in on posts made for his children, specifically Chance, that's her and Diddy when she was the little bitty girl. And there she is now at 18 years old. Beautiful young lady. You must admit that Diddy had some beautiful children, okay? But like I said, people were going in on the comments. Now, this is the second post that Diddy's made since he deleted all of his Instagram posts in June. Okay, and so here's what a source close to him had to say. Diddy previously wiped his account in June, a month after he came under fire following the May release of a 2016 security camera video that showed him physically abusing his ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Cassie Ventura, at a hotel. So he posted something a few weeks ago, if you all remember. And then he made this post. It's the only post. I think he posts things and then deletes them because this is the only post that he has now. But here's what someone said. One of a source that's close to him. Because people were trying to say that there was something strategic behind him deleting all of this stuff. Some people feel like he's trying to get rid of evidence, which is obtuse. He can't get rid of evidence. Even if he deletes everything, it doesn't matter. That stuff is still saved, okay? That's what big tech companies do. How do you think they can delete your entire account and then give it back to you with everything that you had on there previously? Because those things are saved, okay? And so anyway, I don't know why anyone would think that. But likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now, here's what they say. Hold on, let me find it. I don't want to read this whole thing. Okay, a source close to Diddy said that his decision to delete everything from his Instagram account was not a strategic decision. He said Diddy has done this before, wiping his social media many times. Okay, the only reason this is being picked up is because all eyes are currently on him. His statements may have been widely covered, or his statements have been widely covered by the media globally. It doesn't take away from the statements that he made, and it also wasn't directed at or about anybody. Okay, and so then they go on to talk about Cassie, and what her attorney said about him having all this fun and people being offended. Okay, the end of the day, people just need to not say disparaging things for his children. Well, the children are going to see it regardless, but I'm just saying, if he's posting something about the children, people, quite frankly, need to lay off. We all know how we feel about Diddy, okay? I just think some of it's unnecessary. That's my opinion. All right, so now let's get into it. And also, let me just thank Hey Y'all TV for your contribution to the channel, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Thank you for starting us off with a super chat donation. Okay, so now let's get into it. Let's get into it. Nicole says Shady Pines for Biden. Now he can have several seats. Exactly. I couldn't agree more, beloveds. And so I'm going to go to some live coverage about it. Everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, those of you remember, yesterday I was telling you how Biden sat there and told that bold-faced lie that he was arrested at some black folks' house. Said he was sitting on the porch with those nice black folk. Now, Biden needs to sit down somewhere. Okay, I'm going to show my TikTok that I did about it for those of you who missed the backup channel broadcast yesterday. And then we're going to get into Biden dropping out of the race, which he probably did himself and us a favor. Okay, please pay attention. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Ahmadiyyah Shakur. As both Biden and 45 vie for the White House, they both want to get the votes from people who look like me. And it looks like they'll do anything and stop at nothing to get them. You see, 45 is now trying to act as though he has street cred because he has 34 felonies. He had RICO charges, and now he's been fired upon, and he sells sneakers. So he thinks that that's enough to get some of my people to go and vote for him. Well, sad but true, some of them actually will, just based off of those principles themselves. Not because of his politics or what he can or can't do while he's in office, but simply because of those things. It's real ridiculous, I know. But now it seems that Biden has thrown his hat into the foolishness, and now he too wants to act as though he has street cred. Please pay attention.
And I said, honey, you haven't said anything. She said, Joey. She said, remember when you were a kid? Remember when I called you when you got out of the race with Brock, and you asked about him? He said he's really bright. He's an honorable man. He'll make a good president. And I said, yeah, I remember that. I said, remember when you were a kid and they were desegregating Mayfield, the neighborhood we live, the neighboring neighborhood called Linfield? You were 14 or 15 years old. I told you not to go down there because there were people protesting. But you went down and you got arrested for being on the porch with a black family. And they brought you back home. I said, yeah, I remember that, Mom. She said, remember you had that job as a lifeguard in a country club setting? Did you want to be the only white guy to work in East Side, the projects, and the lifeguard? I said, yeah, Mom. So let me get this straight, honey. The first black man in history has a chance to be president. You told him no.
So we're honestly supposed to sit here and believe that Biden actually was arrested for fighting against and protesting against desegregation. And he was doing so much so that he was sitting on the front porch of a family of my skin tone and was arrested for it. I don't think I believe that at all, especially since he's the one who said that his children going to school with children of my skin tone would be the equivalent of a racial jungle, unless we forget. Okay, please pay attention. So yeah, it clearly looks like Biden was trying to one-up 45 with that story, okay, that I'm pretty sure was fabricated, by the way. So he's like, okay, so you all want to vote for him because he has 34 felonies? But hey, what about me? I actually got arrested for fighting against desegregation. And if you don't vote for me, then you ain't. You already know the rest, okay? Please pay attention. With that all being said, I'm not voting for Biden or 45. You see, I've seen what they both can and can't do and what they will and won't do. So it's time for something different and someone new. I'm voting for Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, who's the only viable candidate as far as I'm concerned. Please pay attention. Okay, so it looks like Biden found out. Looks like he effed around and found out that little scheme of his wasn't going to work. That nobody fell for it. No street cred here. And quite frankly, for them to think that because you've been arrested, that's how you relate to us. All of us haven't been arrested, boo-boo. Okay, please pay attention. It's quite frankly insulting, okay, and stereotypical BS. Now, that all being said, Biden has stepped down and they have some live coverage about it. So let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Let's see what's going on here. All nefarious.
Cognitively and physically. And, you know, they were young 81-year-olds and he was not one of them. Sadly, he was really slipping and he didn't answer the question that kept being asked of him. You know, where will you be in 6 months? Where will you be in 2 years? Where will you be when you're 86 and you're still technically president and handing it off? How will you age considering what's happened in the last 4 years and how you were? And that's what he never fully answered or was able to answer or wanted to answer. And he didn't take the opportunity to take a cognitive test or more medical checkups and put them out and be fully transparent. He kept saying, well, Donald Trump didn't, so why should I? But that wasn't the question. The question is, you consider yourself better than he. So the age issue is off the table. And now they have a possibly messy succession. It depends on whether, you know, Vice President Harris can get this, as the Clintons have said, the Black Caucus and others, but not President Obama, importantly.
Andrea, thank you very much. I want you to stand by if you can. I know you're juggling a lot, but I want to get to Ryan Nobles, our Capitol Hill correspondent, who I believe we have, because Ryan, there's a key endorsement now of Kamala Harris coming in from a notable Democrat. Tell us about it.
Yeah, and that's Congressman Adam Schiff, Hallie, of California, who, of course, represents the same state as Kamala Harris and is also poised to become the next senator from California. He is the Democratic nominee in that Democratic state. And Schiff is also someone who is very tightly aligned with the former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who is yet to formally endorse Kamala Harris. So this should send a strong signal to the rest of the Democratic caucus about the direction that this process is headed. You know, Schiff's played a pretty important role in this process since that debate from a month ago. He gave an interview to our colleague Kristen Welker on Meet the Press, where he raised serious questions about whether or not President Biden was a viable enough candidate to continue on as the party's nominee. But at that point, he stopped short of asking him to leave the race. And then last week, he put out a statement, an open letter to President Biden saying that it was time for him to exit the race. And of course, now we know that President Biden has done so. So the fact that Schiff, who has, put out a statement lauding President Biden's service and thanking him for making the decision to put the country first, is now immediately coming out and endorsing Kamala Harris is very significant, because not only does he personally carry a lot of sway within the Democratic Party, but he is someone who is tightly aligned with Nancy Pelosi, and is someone who will obviously people will look as a leader as this conversation moves forward. So Adam Schiff now in the camp for Kamala Harris as she continues to consolidate support within the Democratic Party. Hallie.
Ryan, thank you very much. I want to go to Monica Alba now, because Monica, the first statement we're getting now from a family member of the president's, and that is Hunter Biden, his son. What's he saying?
Yeah, and he has a lengthy statement here, Hallie, where he is referencing really just to the emotional turmoil that his father has gone through his entire life. And he really says that for his own entire life, Hunter Biden writes, "I've looked at my dad in awe. How could he suffer so much heartache and yet give so much of whatever remained of his heart to others, not only in the policies he passed, but in the individual lives he's touched?" And Hunter Biden, the president's son, goes on to say that really he felt that the president, his father, had just really given his decades of service to countless everyday Americans. He says who he has given his personal cell phone number to because he wanted them to call when they were hurting, when their last hopes were slipping through their hands. That unconditional love, Hunter Biden writes, has been his North Star as a president and as a parent. He's unique in all public life because there is no distance between Joe Biden, the man, and Joe Biden, the public servant of the last 54 years. Hunter Biden ends this statement by saying that he's so lucky every night that he gets to call his dad, the president, to tell him that he loves him and to thank him for all that he does. And at the end and conclusion of this statement, he says, "I ask all Americans to join me tonight in doing the same. Thank you, Mr. President. I love you, Dad." So, of course, there's so much to unpack from this incredibly close relationship, Hallie, but we should just point out that it was our own reporting a couple of weeks ago that brought to light the fact that Hunter Biden, who, of course, is a family member, is very, very typically around the president and has been at White House events over the last couple of years, even and despite some of his legal troubles where there had been questions about his proximity to the president and whether that was doing any damage to his campaign. And the president always wanted to have him close and to keep it that way. But in the last couple of weeks, as the president was facing this Democratic dissent and the calls for him to step aside, we knew through our reporting that Hunter Biden was a really key figure in consulting with his dad about the path forward and had even been in a couple of White House meetings, which surprised some of those senior advisors. But I think it's no surprise here that, as we're hearing in depth from Hunter Biden, that really they want to put the focus on their dad and the person that they know so well in terms of the human being.
Okay, with that all being said, I cannot bear to listen to her try to praise Hunter Biden, okay, and then saying that there were people who were shocked to see him sitting at the table at the White House. Well, I'm sure they were. They're likely not used to seeing a whole crackhead sitting at the table. So I'm quite sure they were perplexed, to say the least. Okay, but let's continue, because here's what Barack Obama had to say about all of this. What he had to say about Joe Biden. He put out a statement. Everyone please like and share. It says, Joe Biden has been one of America's most consequential presidents, as well as a dear friend and partner to me. Today, we've also been reminded again that he's a patriot of the highest order. Okay, not of the highest order. So with that all being said, now let's go to what Trump had to say about it, because you already know that Trump had some things to say. And quite frankly, I believe he's ecstatic. I'm going to share my screen. Likes up. Everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance, beloveds.
Sir John Santucci. John, on the other end of this, you have former President Donald Trump's campaign. The former president is just after surviving this attempted assassination on his been back out on the campaign trail. And the Trump campaign has been notably a little bit more quiet on President Biden following this debate, a sign that maybe they really wanted to see him stay on the ballot in November. What more are we learning from the Trump campaign about how they're responding to this and also how they're preparing to now face off against Vice President Kamala Harris?
Rachel, literally, as you were just introducing me, we just got a statement from former President Donald Trump. I'm going to read the entire thing, Rachel. It's posted to his Truth Social account. It reads, quote, "Crooked Joe Biden was not fit to run for president and is certainly not fit to serve and never was. He only attained the position of president by lies, fake news, and not leaving his basement. All those around him, including the doctors and the media, knew that he wasn't capable of being president, and he wasn't. And now look what he's done to our country with millions of people coming across our border, totally unchecked, unvetted, many from prisons, mental institutions, and a number of terrorists." He goes on to say, "We will suffer greatly because of his presidency, but we will remedy the damage he has done very quickly." Trump goes on to end the statement, "Make America Great Again." Of course, the signature line, Rachel, as you know all too well. Listen, the Trump team in recent days, Rachel, you and I have been reporting this together, have actually backed off attacking President Biden because they see an easier path to beat Joe Biden. Now, all of which to say, as again, because you and I do this together, Rachel, we reported earlier today, our understanding at ABC News is that the Trump team had been building basically a just-in-case book to beat Kamala Harris. They've been doing research, some polling, and we know from our reporting, Rachel, that they've already looked at how they would, take some of the past statements of the vice president, now that, of course, Joe Biden's endorsed her, and start to build attack ads against her. The reality is that this is going to be a bit of uncharted waters for the Trump team because, again, for much of the last 3 years, they've been gearing up for Joe Biden. So it is going to have to be a quick pivot. They are going to have to start to spend more money, especially on ads, which, as you well know, Rachel, a big bulk of Donald Trump's campaign cash has been used really for his legal bills over the last year as he fended off the cases in New York, the federal cases by special counsel Jack Smith and the investigations brought by Fulton County District Attorney Bonnie Willis in the efforts to turn the election there. I do think the other thing that I'm hearing from my sources, and I know my colleague Catherine Folders and you were hearing it as well, Rachel, is that one of the things they're going to do is attack Kamala Harris on immigration. But seriously, though, this is a big shot to them as well.
John Santucci, thank you.
We're continuing.
So you all heard what Trump said. He said, crooked Joe Biden. Okay. That's what he said. Crooked Joe wasn't fit for presidency. And he is a whole convicted felon. Crooked Joe Biden was not fit to run for president and is certainly not fit to serve and never was. Yeah, he went in. Okay. So they go on to say that Donald Trump said that Biden won the presidency via lies, the fake news media, and by sitting at home in the lead up to 2020 instead of actively campaigning like he did. Trump says people only need to look around at the country to see the damage Joe has done, pointing to the immigration crisis at the southern border to punctuate his point. Trump says the American people have suffered greatly because of his presidency. Well, so what do you all have to say about this? What do you all think about Kamala running? What do you all think about that? And why has Hilary crawled out of the woodwork? I have questions. Okay, he finally took that maxi pad off his ear, says Lillian. Speaking of that, I'm glad you brought it up because look at this. When I tell you Trump is the equivalent, in my opinion, of Jim Jones, and he has a cult-like following who will do whatever he wants them to do. Please pay attention. I find it all so crazy. But also, let's talk about, they called out Mayorkas. Hold on, let me pull this up real quick. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Hold up, let me pull up this receipt real quick. They say, the Washington Post proves that DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas lied about not denying Secret Service protection to former President Donald Trump prior to last Saturday's assassination attempt. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Della says, remember Kamala said, no, I won't be doing something specifically for Black people. Oh yeah, of course she said that. And not even just that, what's she doing, period? What has she done significantly the whole time she's been in office? I haven't seen her do anything. Okay, the assertion that, hold on. The assertion that a member of the former president's security team requested additional security resources that the U.S. Secret Service or the Department of Homeland Security rebuffed is absolutely false. This is what Anthony Guglielmi, a spokesman for the Secret Service, said in a statement after the shooting. Now, after receiving detailed questions from the Washington Post, Guglielmi said the agency had learned new information indicating that the agency's headquarters may have in fact denied some request for additional security for Trump's detail and was reviewing documentation to understand the specific interactions better.
And I sincerely appreciate the clarity on this. I did want to ask you, because this has popped up. Republican Congressman Mike Walls, he said on social media on Saturday, and I'm going to read this for you because it does talk about you, Secretary. I have very reliable sources telling me that there have been repeated requests for stronger Secret Service protection for President Trump denied by Secretary Mayorkas. Your department has already pushed back on that, calling that absolutely false, but he is putting this on you. Can you respond to that, please?
Well, that's a baseless and irresponsible statement, and is one that is unequivocally false.
And I sincerely appreciate the clarity on this. I did want to ask you, because this has popped up. Republican Congressman Mike Walls, he said on social media on Saturday, and I'm going to read this for you because it does talk about you.
Okay. So they're saying that Mayorkas lied. Please pay attention. Kamala is the closest, is in the closet brushing off her chucks as we speak, says Sierra. Well, here's what people are saying. Let's talk about it. President Biden will stand down from the race. Now, they go on to say, with Biden's backing, Kamala Harris leads the pack in bid to replace him on the ticket. Biden announced that he wouldn't accept the nomination of his party, and moments later that he supports Kamala Harris taking his place. Okay, so let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance.
We have breaking news here. President Biden has announced he will stand down from the race. I'm going to read the statement here on my phone. We also have Tim Miller, who's going to be joining us shortly. My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation. Today, America has the strongest economy in the world. We've made historic investments in rebuilding our nation, in lowering prescription drug costs for seniors, and in expanding affordable health care to a record number of Americans. We've provided critically needed care to 1 million veterans exposed to toxic substances. Thank you so much. I'm just going to read off the paper here. Passed the first safety law in 30 years, appointed the first African-American woman to the Supreme Court, and passed the most significant climate legislation in the history of the world. America has never been better positioned to lead than we are today. I know none of this could have been done without you, the American people. Together, we overcame a once-in-a-century pandemic and the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. We've protected and preserved our democracy, and we've revitalized and strengthened our alliances around the world. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president, and while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision. For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who have worked so hard to see me re-elected. I want to thank Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work, and let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the American people for the faith and trust you have placed in me. I believe today, what I always have, that there is nothing America can't do when we do it together. We just have to remember we are the United States of America. Obviously, this is a significant breaking news development with the president announcing he is stepping back from the race. There was very little indication from people close to him and many people in the campaign that this was what was about to happen, as much as there were reports of Democrats calling on him to do that. What's interesting in this, I will note, and then we're going to bring Tim Miller in, is that he does not endorse the vice president in this statement. We'll see what he says later this week. And I know there's going to be a lot of reactions from people coming in as this statement was just put out by the White House.
I was so excited.
Okay, well, there you have it. Now they're saying the question is Kamala capable of beating Donald Trump? What do you all think? One's in the chat, because I don't think she is, unfortunately. Okay, one's in the chat. If you think, Shanita said this is ridiculous now. Of course it is. One's in the chat if you think that she is, oh hell no, said she's about to go on a breakdancing tour. I love hip hop. One's in the chat if you think she's capable of beating Trump, because I'm sorry, I don't even see it happening. It's a no for me. It is an absolute no for me. This is a disaster. Okay, the only thing to do is vote for Dr. Shiva, because I'm sorry, none of this looks good. So let's go to this report where they're talking about leading Democrats are voicing their support for Vice President Kamala Harris on Sunday as their party seeks a nominee to replace President Biden in the 2024 race, now that he has taken himself out of the running. Okay, so let's go to what they're talking about. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Yeah, this is definitely going to get very interesting. Please pay attention. And, you know, they're saying that Kamala has already made history because she's the first Black female VP. Now, even though she doesn't identify as Black until election time comes up. Okay, but that's how they report it. Please pay attention. I see a bunch of people saying no's. I see a couple of twos. Yeah, I don't see it happening. But let's continue.
This for a while. And you've actually seen a lot of Democrats start to list out supporting Kamala Harris as an imperative in recent weeks. I think you're going to see a lot of Democrats have her back. To Margaret's point earlier about the issue of abortion being an issue that is much more live now because you have a candidate in Kamala Harris who not only will say the word abortion, but is a very trusted voice and advocate on that issue. And I also think that point about Gaza is so very important. That issue was really, if you think about it, I called it the destabilizer. It was the thing that initially destabilized the Biden coalition because it cut at his credibility with so many key parts of that anti-Trump coalition he needed to keep together. Kamala Harris resets the clock on that in many ways, and I think gets a second look at some of those voters who may have, partially or fully eliminated Joe Biden from consideration. I think Kamala Harris gives a second look at that. So you have a lot of key Democratic constituencies that have been, at best, nervous or reluctant to come back to support Joe Biden this time around. I think Kamala Harris potentially being at the top of the ticket would bring a lot of those constituencies back.
And we have seen some of those constituencies, certainly those represented by lawmakers in Congress, already throwing their support behind the vice president. Thank you. Want to bring in Ashley Etienne. Just a minute. Sorry, we're juggling.
Hi there, I can't hear you.
We're waiting to bring in Ashley Etienne because she actually has worked with Vice President Kamala Harris and very familiar with her operation. As you know, the interesting thing about Vice President Harris, from day one, they have made the case that she's ready to be president of the United States. But is she ready to be the candidate who takes on and defeats Donald Trump?
Right. And as you know, she had this illustrious career in California, but there's that criticism. California is its own country, right? And can that kind of Democrat relate to and persuade the rest of the country? There will be a lot of criticism, if you remember, Nora, from the early part of the Biden administration about how she is as a manager and the turnover in her office. There'll be recombing over all of those stories about what does that indicate in terms of her leadership style, executive leadership style. I'm sure Ashley knows something about that.
That may fall under the criticism that is leveled at a lot of women, sometimes stereotypical criticism that no doubt she will face, that Hillary Clinton faced about her style as well during the campaign in 2016.
Senator Klobuchar as well.
Senator Klobuchar, who joined us earlier. And Ed, just to recap some of your reporting about why President Biden made this decision today.
Well, we now know, having heard from his brother, Frank Biden, that health was a consideration in the ultimate decision to make this call. He made it last evening after meeting with the First Lady and 4 close advisors: Anthony Bernal, who's a key advisor, longtime confidant of the First Lady; Annie Tomasini, who runs Oval Office and West Wing operations. I remember her driving around the snowy fields of Iowa in 2007 in an Aerostar van. It was her, Joe Biden, and Hunter Biden driving around that state as he failed to win the presidency. She remains a close ally. Steve Ricchetti and Mike Donilon, 2 of his closest advisors. They began informing people today, and they stunned the world this afternoon.
Ed O'Keefe, thank you. And just to let everyone know and to recap what we've been following, this twist in a monumental 10 days in America, President Joe Biden announcing he will not seek re-election and instead endorsed his Vice President Kamala Harris. Our coverage will continue on CBS News 24/7 and in a
Well, I'll tell you what, Trump is thrilled. Okay, please pay attention. Trump has already come out and said that it's going to be even easier to beat Kamala. This is what he says. Okay, get a load of this. First of all, Trump and Biden had been mostly tied in polls, but after the debate, some polls showed Trump narrowly ahead of the president in a matchup for the November elections. The Trump campaign had already begun discussions about how it would redeploy campaign resources for the possibility of Biden's dropping out. So they were already anticipating this. A source with direct knowledge of the matter said this on Sunday. Now, given that any alternative Democratic candidate would likely have different strengths and weaknesses than Biden, that person said the president's dropping out would require rethinking where to spend ad dollars and where to deploy resources more generally. Okay, and then they say that other top Republicans, including House of Representatives Speaker Mike Johnson, also said Biden was not fit to serve as president and to finish his term if he was stepping aside as the Democratic presidential candidate. Johnson explicitly called on Biden to resign. Trump, in a post on his Truth Social platform, said, "We will suffer greatly because of his presidency, but we will remedy the damage that he has done very quickly." And he also said, hold on, let me find it so I can quote him specifically. Trump says Kamala Harris will be easier to defeat than Biden. He said this shortly after the president, moments after Biden announced his decision to step down. Trump and his campaign later also attacked Biden and Harris on social media while saying Biden was unfit to continue serving as president. Okay, Biden ended his election campaign on Sunday after fellow Democrats lost faith in his mental acuity and ability to defeat Trump. Biden endorsed Harris to replace him as the party's candidate. Biden had faced growing doubts about his re-election chances after a weak and faltering performance in a televised debate against Trump late last month. Okay, so yeah, Trump said that it's going to be even easier to beat Kamala Harris. That's what he said. So what do you all think? In a statement after Biden dropped out, Trump's campaign said Harris was Biden's enabler in chief. The campaign said Biden and Harris owned each other's records, and there's no distance between the two. The official Republican National Committee YouTube channel published a 2-minute video on Sunday afternoon attacking Harris over her immigration policies, alleging that she neglected that issue. In recent weeks, Trump's campaign and some of his allies have launched preemptive political attacks on Harris to try to discredit her amid talk that she could replace Biden atop the party's 2024 presidential ticket. Now, in March of 2021, Biden said Harris would lead efforts with Mexico and Central American nations to address illegal immigration. Republicans have seized on that to accuse her of failing to stem the flow of millions of migrants crossing illegally into the United States, although she was never directly responsible for securing the southern border. So they already were going in on her just in case she was the one that was going to take over should Biden stop or just give up. So she's from California, not really a fan of California politics in Southwest Houston. Let me tell you something. I'm not a fan of Kabami either. Now, let's not forget how she allowed that woman who worked in the drug lab, who tampered with evidence that led to 600 Black men being imprisoned. She wasn't going to do anything about it. She was not going to prosecute that woman until a judge made her do so. Let's also not forget how she was locking up Black women specifically for truancy of their children. And one mother said that she dropped her child off at the school, watched them walk into the school, and then she drove off and they went out the back door. So rather than giving them any type of leniency, she was locking the parents up, these Black women specifically. Let's also not forget how she had this Black man in prison, falsely, wrongly convicted for 5 years, and had the evidence all along to prove that he was innocent, allegedly. Now, with that all being said, if you remember, those of you who are my day ones, you may remember that back in 2020, I did a whole expose on her, comparing her to Linda Fairstein, which is the woman who was the prosecutor at the time that the Central Park Five were falsely accused and convicted through coerced confessions. Okay, that woman and Kamala are one and the same as far as I'm concerned. So with that all being said, neither her nor Trump is anybody that I would ever even dream of voting for. Okay, please pay attention. At the end of the day, and what has she done since she's been in office? She definitely did drop the ball on immigration. Okay, I've never seen her doing anything but cackling, telling lies, and then trying to evade or gaslight when she's asked about something serious. Now, does Kamala Harris have what it takes to beat Trump? The vice president who announced Sunday that she will seek the nomination for president has become the obvious choice to replace Biden. So with Biden's stunning announcement that he would not seek re-election nearly 1 month after his troubling debate performance against Donald Trump, Vice President Kamala Harris has emerged as a surprisingly strong potential challenger to the ex-president. She says, I am honored to have the president's endorsement, and my intention is to earn and win this nomination. This is what she said Sunday in a statement shortly after Biden announced that he was passing the torch. She says, over the past year, I have traveled across the country talking with Americans about the clear choice in this monumentous election. And that is what I will continue to do in the days and weeks ahead. I will do everything in my power to unite the Democratic Party and unite our nation to defeat Donald Trump and his Extreme Project 2025 agenda. Now, Harris, the first woman, the first African American, and the first person of Asian descent to serve in the nation's second highest office, has been dogged by dismal approval ratings and a policy portfolio that has seen her taking on politically tricky issues, like the root causes of an immigration crisis that's brought hundreds of thousands to the U.S. in recent years. I really don't like when they call her African American. I'm sorry, this woman is not, she's anything but African American. Where are they getting this from? Neither of her parents is African American, so how is she African American? Do you all see the trick? Do you all see the trick? She's not an African American. Edward says, come on, Queen, we must stand together and behind her regardless. No. That's what we're not going to do, Edward. That's what we're not going to do. Here comes that old black stuff that I hate to hear. Here comes the old Negro spirituals. Y'all want to start singing Kumbaya? Y'all want to start singing Rockin' My Soul in the Bosom of Abraham? Y'all want to start singing, what's that song Martin Luther King used to love? Okay, that's what y'all want to do right now? Talking about we got to stand behind it regardless. No, we don't. No, we don't. Okay? That's what we don't have to do. All right? Sorry, not sorry. You see, unlike you, Edward, beloved, I have options. And I know that I have options. I'm not brainwashed and indoctrinated into thinking that I have to choose between one of the lesser evils, because evil is just evil. So I'm going to choose between Satan and the demon? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't have to give a darn about Kabami Harris, nor shall I, and do I? Now, I don't have to vote for her, period. She's no better than Trump as far as I'm concerned. Where's the difference? Trump's done nothing for us, and neither has she. The only difference is she told us to our faces she wasn't going to do anything for us. All those black women she had put in jail, all those black men, 600 of them she allowed to go to prison and didn't even want to punish the person who did it fraudulently by tampering with evidence. No, I'm sorry. It's a no for me, boo-boo. It's a no for me. Lest I remind you all again, I'm voting for Dr. Shiva. Period, point, and serious. At the end of the day, I'm not voting for Kabami. I don't give a damn what goes on. Okay? That's what I'm not going to do ever. I don't like Kabami Harris. I don't like her at all. She's a liar. She's a fake, and she's a fraud. Okay? Eric said exactly, Queen. She's worse than Joe Biden. Okay? I don't fool with her. Edward said, come on, water under the bridge. Edward, please stop, because I think you're trying to get on my last nerve. I got one good nerve left, and darn if you're not trying to tap dance all over it, beloved. Okay, settle down. I'm not voting for her no matter what, come hell or high water. All hell now said, unless she authorizes free Indian food for Negroes every weekend, she can kick rocks because tikka masala be bussin'. Not tikka masala. I'm not voting for her even if she does that. That's right. The chosen one said, lock him up, Harris. Exactly. Okay. That's exactly who she was. Okay. All right. Miss AP said there's no straddling the fence between good and evil. There absolutely is not. All right. Talking about we got to stand behind her regardless. I know you didn't try it. Malika said, oh, Malika said the last reserve brown nerve. Okay. Please sit down somewhere, Edward. So anyway, with that all being said, honey, I'm not thinking about Kamala. All right. Cat Eyes said she can take those chucks and those pearls. All right. She absolutely can. And that really got on my nerves last election period. And she can step to the nearest exit. Exactly. The son, no. It is what it is. Said they need another candidate. I'm sorry. I can't fool with Harris. But let me continue. So it goes on to say that as a practical matter, Harris has a built-in advantage in taking on Trump, as she would be the only person who could tap into the massive war chest already raised for her in Biden's re-election bid. She would also be able to take advantage of the nationwide apparatus the Biden-Harris campaign has already built, making her the national successor to Biden, who announced on Sunday that he was pledging his full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee of our party this year. Said one Democratic strategist who spoke to The Independent said Harris would enjoy broad support from young voters and other party factions that have soured on Biden. They say people who are unhappy with Trump versus Biden now get to say, we get somebody else. Maybe it wasn't who exactly they wanted, but everybody loves a good comeback story, and she has a great comeback story, he says. Come back from what? Where is she coming back from? They say her 2020 campaign crashed and burned. She got her shady immigration portfolio, but she stayed quiet and kept her head down, and she defended the ish out of Biden after the debate. Well, she had to. She was picked as his running mate. And here's the thing. That was all cap and a load of BS, because let's not forget that during the debate, she was implying that he was racist. She was implying that he was a segregationist. Remember how she talked about his thoughts on busing? And she told no lies. She's absolutely right. He was a whole segregationist. So she didn't lie. She only started lying after she was chosen to be his running mate. Please pay attention. So yeah, she's faking fraud, and so is Biden, and so is Trump. All of them are just pitiful. Now, before the June 27th debate debacle, see, even they call it a debacle. I told you all that's what it was at the time. It was so ridiculous. Such a possibility was the stuff of fever dreams in conspiratorial right-wing swamps, rife with social media personalities predicting that Biden would resign or retire in favor of Michelle Obama or some other popular Democrat. And here's the thing. If Kabami runs for president, who's going to be her VP pick? Please don't let it be Hilary, a.k.a. Hillary Clinton. Please don't let it be her. Have you all thought about that? Have you thought on that, marinate on that for just a minute? If she's the pick for president, who is she going to choose to run beside her? Like I said, please don't let it be Hillary, because I absolutely could not. But anyway, goes on to say, but now, weeks after Biden shocked the nation by presenting himself as a fumbling elderly man who struggled to recall canned talking points, or deliver coherent answers in the face of Trump's dishonest bombast, voters appear far more willing to consider Harris as an alternative. Yeah, voters that are desperate and think that that's the only choice they have. They don't realize they got options. Now, a poll from Reuters taken after the attempted assassination of Donald Trump at the rural Pennsylvania rally on July 13th showed Biden and Harris essentially tied in a matchup against Trump. Another poll taken last week by the AP NORC Center for Public Affairs Research showed that the majority of Democrats, 6 out of 10, believe she'd make a good president, with 2 out of the 10 responding that they don't think that she would. Now, a survey by CNN and SSRS taken immediately after the debate showed Harris in a statistical tie with Trump. 45% to the ex-president's 47%, showing that was several points better than the 43% Biden garnered against Trump's 49% in the same poll. Well, now, mind you, this is prior to him being shot at. This is prior to an attempted assassination, because as I told you all, some of these people who would never have even thought about voting for Trump now are going to vote for him because they hail him as a hero. Let's not forget what Mark Zuckerberg said. And there's a lot of people that think like this. This is real scary. Please pay attention. You better be voting for Dr. Shiva if you don't want to get that Agenda 25, that Project 2025. Okay, now here's what Mark Zuckerberg said. Remember, for those of you on the backup channel, you saw this yesterday.
I've done some stuff personally in the past. I'm not planning on doing that this time. And that includes, not endorsing either of the candidates. Now, look, there's obviously a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. The historic events over over the weekend. And on a personal note, it's, seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life. But look, it's, and I think, look, it's, at some level as an American, it's like hard to not get kind of emotional about that spirit and that fight. And I think that's why a lot of people like the guy.
Now I want you all to pay attention to every word that he said. He said that he's not going to endorse either of them. But he said that what Donald Trump did, getting shot in the face and getting up and pumping his fist, first of all, he didn't get shot in the face. That's an embellishment. But says that was one of the most badass things he ever saw. And you can't help but get emotional. Now, how many people that look like him do you think feel the exact same way? They're hailing this man right now, some of them, as the second coming of Jesus. Please pay attention. This is all nefarious. Okay? There's a lot of people feeling that way about him right now. You already saw how they're out there walking around with those pillowcases on their ears. Lest I remind you. Okay, I'm sorry, but it's not looking good. Now let's talk about it. Let's continue. Because they say Harris came to the vice presidency after serving 4 years of a 6-year Senate term, during which she mounted a presidential primary bid that never made an impact with voters. Aside from a viral moment when she accused Biden of supporting school segregation during an early debate, her performances in those primary sessions were generally symbolic that she withdrew from the 2020 race long before the first votes were cast. Now, let me just tell y'all something. She talked about him being a segregationist during that debate, like I told you. Okay. And she talked about being 9 years old and she was being busted and all of that. But funny thing is, Biden was just on that video lying, talking about how they were protesting desegregation and he got arrested for sitting on the front porch with some black folk. Okay. You see the lies. But anyway, it has just come to my attention that Bill Clinton and Hillary have endorsed Kamala. Bill and Hillary Clinton endorsed Kamala Harris after Biden drops out. Now, surely these two have ulterior motives. Please pay attention. So Bill and Hillary Clinton wasted no time throwing their support behind Kamala Harris, adding they've never experienced anything that concerns them more than a second Trump term. The first former couple made the announcement on X, soon after President Joe Biden said he wouldn't seek a second term, abandoning his re-election bid. So the Clintons kicked off their statement by lauding Biden for all his hard work in public service, specifically pointing out his economic accomplishments and saying that he'd work hard to fulfill the founding fathers' goal of forming a more perfect union. Then the former POTUS and the former Secretary of State write that they are honored to back Kamala Harris in this upcoming election, just as Joe already has. Of course, no Clinton statement would be complete without a shot of Republican candidate or shot at Republican candidate and former President Donald Trump, with a couple saying they've lived through many ups and downs, but nothing has made us more worried for our country than the threat posed by a second Trump term. They claim Trump will be a dictator on day one of his term, and America's future depends on Dems getting behind Kamala. See, that's the kind of stuff they want to tell you. America's future depends on Dems. Let me tell you all something. First and foremost, no matter who becomes the president, if it is in fact Kamala or Trump, if either of those two become the president, becomes the president, do you really think it's going to be good for people who look like me? Do you really think you're going to get any tangibles? Do you really think you're going to get a hate crime bill, reparations? Do you really think it's even going to be considered? Do you think you're going to get anything significant for yourselves? That's what you should be asking. Now, Hillary lost out to Donald Trump in the 2016 election after a fierce campaign, and the two have regularly blasted each other in the years since. So not surprising, the statements are so fiery. Biden's shocking announcement has thrown the political world for a loop, with Republicans calling on him to resign and Democrats applauding his choices, some backing Harris and some staying mum on the question. In any case, Kamala clearly has the backing of some prominent Democrats and seems poised to take on Trump in November. Well, here's the thing. They're going to go ahead and back Kamala whether they like her or not, because the bottom line is all of that money that they've raised for Biden's campaign, what are they going to do with it? What are they going to do with it? They have to keep, the only way they can keep that money is to keep Kamala. Please pay attention. And here's another bit of news. These folk who don't like Kamala, these people who want Trump to win, they've already started going in on her. They've already started with the attacks. They've already started the racist rhetoric. They've already started talking about Willie Brown. Remember Willie Brown? You all remember Willie Brown? They say Kamala was sleeping around with that man while he was married to get her way to the top, which I absolutely agree, but that's what they've gone and dug up. They have that trending on social media. Please pay attention. They went and dug that up. So the end of the day, yeah, this is going to get real interesting as far as I'm concerned. Kamala Harris's political trajectory has launched in her native California. Holding court for media, Willie Brown calls on Biden to resign. Listen to this. Said he calls on Biden to resign. Willie Brown has a few things to say about Kamala Harris. Yeah, they went and dug up those old receipts. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. They say at a hastily called press conference outside the venerable downtown eatery, Brown weighed in on President Joe Biden's decision to drop out of the 2024 presidential race and endorse Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. Brown, who dated Harris when she was an Alameda County prosecutor in the mid-1990s, said he learned of Biden's decision 35 to 40 minutes, maybe an hour ago, along with the general public. He urged Democrats who have been pushing for Biden to step aside to now rally behind Harris. He says, I hope all those Democrats who've been pushing Biden to quit will now show up and ring doorbells with me. The former mayor, noddingly dressed as ever in a pink Isia, I hope I'm saying that right, Isaiah, whatever, blazer, gray slacks and hat, and white tennis shoes, drew parallels to Lyndon B. Johnson's 1968 decision not to seek re-election, noting that Johnson had also endorsed his vice president, saying that since last January, he had been a candidate that all the Democrats embraced. To come to the 11th hour with an exit, it has to be health-related, not age. Well, let me tell you something. I believe it absolutely is health-related because a very good friend of mine who is prophetic told me 3 or 4 days ago that Biden is very ill and possibly dying of the illness. Oh, that's what someone told me. I'm not going to say who, but nonetheless. But anyway, goes on to say Biden has the nomination if he wishes. I'm sorry to say, Brown dismissed the idea of a mini primary to select a new nominee, saying Biden has the nomination if he wishes. I think he has indicated he doesn't wish it. He wishes the country to be better off, and he wishes us to beat Trump. The best way to do that is with Kamala Harris. Brown suggested that Biden should resign immediately to allow Harris to assume the presidency, urging this would silence all of this nonsense about how best to select someone new as a nominee. Her chances go up if he would at this moment say, not only am I no longer the candidate, I'm no longer the president. She is. So Brown emphasized Harris's readiness for the role, citing her youth and the financial resources already available for a campaign before stressing the importance of defeating former President Donald Trump in the upcoming election. Saying, I hope all those people that on the Democratic side for the last 3 months have allowed a poor performance out of the debate to distract them will now no longer be distracted. He added that he believed party leaders like Biden and former presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton would join in supporting her as they did through posts to social media, as well as one other former president. He says, I think George Bush may say, I'm for Kamala Harris. He certainly didn't show up at the Republican convention, and I know that he likes to go to the conventions. Brown dismissed concerns about Harris's qualifications, citing her successful track record as San Francisco District Attorney and California Attorney General and U.S. Senator. And all the jobs she's had, she's always been outstanding. Well, in one of those jobs, the first job she got, she only got it because she was laid up with Willie Brown. So I really don't take what he says as so much value. I take it with a grain of salt. But let me continue. Now, addressing potential challenges, Brown expressed confidence that Harris would effectively face Trump in debates. When they watch Kamala Harris exchange views with Trump, there will be no question the gender of the candidate will not make the difference, he said. Now, Brown also highlighted the historic nature of Harris's potential presidency, noting that she would be the first graduate of a historically Black college or university to reach the White House. Regarding other potential candidates, Brown predicted the California governor, Gavin Newsom, would support Harris, saying that Gavin will remain a loyal soldier. The former mayor concluded by saying he hopes for an all-female ticket with the addition of Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer as Harris's vice president. Let me tell you something. I seriously doubt that Kabami would pick Gretchen Whitmer. You all remember Gretchen Whitmer. She's the one that they had this whole plot against, talking about they were going to kidnap her and try her for treason. You all remember that back in 2020, and they were upset about her. They got into a fight at the Capitol steps in Michigan because of the mask mandates and all of that. They had all plotted on this woman. It was just all crazy. But if anything, I'm thinking that VP Harris will likely pick either Hilary or Gavin Newsom. What do you all think? What do you all think? This is all disastrous. Like I said, honey, the only thing I can think to do is vote for Dr. Shiva. All this other stuff is just foolishness, in my opinion. Sierra says, see how they said they didn't call her Black, but said she went to a HBCU? Exactly. Exactly. Because she doesn't even consider herself Black, and she's definitely not no African American. She is not an African American. I don't know why they try to pull that over on us. Okay, it is what it is. Says 2 women, no way. Well, especially if those 2 women are Kamala and Hilary. Okay, Miss AP said the devil is a liar. Influencer said I think Trump would win harder. Denise said she can't pick Gavin because the VP and the president can't be from the same state. Lillian X says, me either, Queen. We know better. Exactly. This is all crazy. Well, so you hear what Willie Brown had to say. I mean, I'm not surprised. how Kamala Harris's affair with much older Democrat kingpin catapulted her career. This is what they out here talking about. I want you all to pay attention. This is what they're out here talking about. I told you all, okay? They brought this back up. Hold on, let me see what they're saying. Now, after Kamala Harris's campaign for president flamed out in 2019, her California Power Player X advised against her accepting any offer to be a second banana on the Democratic ticket, warning that the vice presidency would actually be the nail in the coffin to any future White House ambitions. Former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, now 90. Dang, Willie Brown's 90 years old. Jeez, he was way older than Kamala. She needs to sit down somewhere. This man is 90. I didn't know Willie Brown was that old. And Kamala's 59. Anyway, let me continue. You know that was her sugar daddy. I'm just saying. Now, goes on to say that he wrote in a San Francisco Chronicle that warning that his one-time lover, Harris, warning to decline Joe Biden's summer of the 2020 offer, because historically the vice presidency has often ended up being a dead end. Saying the glory would be short-lived, and historically the vice presidency has often ended up with being a dead end. This is what he wrote. For every George H.W. Bush who ascended from the job to the presidency, there's an Al Gore who never got there, he says. But as Democrats are now falling back in love with Harris out of necessity as they scramble to try to replace Biden at the top of the 2024 ticket, following the last month's cringe-worthy presidential debate performance, it appears that Brown got it all wrong, or at least he didn't account for opportunity knocking, because it is precisely Harris's position as VP that, despite her polling and behind-the-scenes unpopularity, has now made her the obvious choice in the eyes of many to replace Biden. I'm sorry. So what do you all have to say about this? What do you have to say about this? Hold on, beloveds. Let me see here. Okay, well, with that all being said, hold on. I'm getting these pop-ups. Hold on just a second. Let's see what they're saying about this live, and then I'm out of here. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. I don't think Kamala can beat Trump, and quite frankly, I don't think anybody else in their right mind thinks so either. That's all I'm saying. Let's go to it. The Wall Street Journal talking about Kamala versus Trump. Could Vice President Kamala, they're also talking about on CBS. Hold on. Here we go. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. I'm going to share my screen.
She continues to work the campaign trail, but as Brian Todd reports, the choice to withdraw by the president would put VP Harris at the top of the ticket. And that leads us to a new question. Could she pull it off?
Tonight, the vice president out on the campaign trail while the president self-isolates with COVID in Delaware. Kamala Harris taking on her newly nominated direct opponent, Republican J.D. Vance.
Their plans are extreme. And they are divisive.
Harris railing against Vance and former President Trump for their claims to be a unity ticket.
You cannot claim to be for unity if you try to overturn a free and fair election.
Even amid deepening concerns about the man at the top of the Democratic ticket. The vice president's appearances now more in the spotlight as the calls for President Biden to exit the race grow louder. CNN's Jeff Zeleny reports that a senior Democratic advisor said President Biden has, quote, gone from saying Kamala can't win to, do you think Kamala can win?
This is the biggest moment she's had since she was nominated as vice president. And you are seeing her hit the trail, not just talking about abortion rights, but really being the main validator for Joe Biden's candidacy.
But even with some recent polls suggesting Harris might do better against Trump than Biden would, some analysts say the vice president is now walking the finest of lines.
She does not want to be perceived as trying to push him out or even suggest him out.
Harris has been one of the president's fiercest defenders since his disastrous debate.
Look, Joe Biden is our nominee. We beat Trump once and we're going to beat him again.
He understands everyday struggles because he has actually lived them. So friends, I say the contrast between Joe Biden and Donald Trump is like night and day.
Now, as she navigates maybe the most sensitive moment of her career, a Harris biographer says those who've run against Kamala Harris have underestimated her at their own peril.
She won statewide 3 times in California. That's no small feat. You don't do that if you're a lightweight.
And that was Brian Todd reporting. Alex Thompson of Axios says that right now, Vice President Harris is walking a twofold tightrope, that she's supporting President Biden while also trying to show voters that she has what it takes to take on former President Trump if it comes to it.
Okay, so we're going to see how this all turns out. But here's the thing. We're going to get more into that, but let's have a word from my sponsor. And then we got to break this down. Also, I have another story I want to talk to you guys about. This is a man who was accused of rape and spent years in prison. And then he confronts the accuser. So let's get into it. Here's a word from our sponsor.
Want healthier, stronger, shinier hair? Tired of products that don't work for coily or kinky hair? Meet 12 Tribes, the vegan hair care line designed for you. Our products are made with love for your gorgeous coils. We offer hair growth butters, oils, shampoos, and hairsprays. These products help your hair grow long, thick, and shiny. Imagine a hair care line that's 100% vegan and perfect for coily hair. No more guessing if it's really going to work for you. Our butters are rich and nourishing, feeding every strand. Our oils are lightweight but powerful, sealing in moisture without greasy residue. Shampoos and butters leave your hair clean and soft, never stripped. What sets us apart? Our dedication to your hair's needs. No harsh chemicals, just effective, natural ingredients. And the results speak for themselves. Start your journey to healthier, shinier hair today. Visit our Etsy shop, Lisa Crafts. Click the link in the description below. Give your hair the care it deserves. Join our satisfied customers and see the difference.
All right, there you have it. Now, with that all been said, let's finish this up, honey, because it started storming over here. I hear the thunder, okay, crashing. So let me hurry up and get up out of here, honey, because y'all know the queen don't play around. So with that all being said, now listen, I think that Harris, if she's the nominee, then she's likely going to pick her VP. I'm thinking Gavin Newsom or Hilary, like I said. Now, I know somebody said that she can't pick Gavin because they're from the same state. That's not true. I don't know where that comes from, but that's not true. There's no law saying that the president, who's a person running for president, cannot pick a VP from the same state. As a matter of fact, let me pull up the receipt so y'all know that I'm not just saying stuff. Okay. Hold on, beloveds. Like stuff, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Likes up. Thank you in advance. Okay, here it is right here. Let me share my screen, honey. Okay, so here it is right here. Can the president and vice president be from the same state? A particular aspect of the electoral college system has led to some confusion on this question. Now, y'all know I'm an expert on the electoral college. Y'all should know by now. Now, there are many misconceptions about the rules of a president choosing their running mate. There's no law or regulation against the president and vice president of the United States being from the same state. Okay, the reason why some people mistakenly believe such a prohibition exists comes down to a particular aspect of the electoral college system laid out in Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution. Okay, Article 2 states that the electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for 2 persons, of whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. Okay, under the original system, electors did not distinguish between candidates from the nation's top 2 offices. The candidate with the most votes became president, while the runner-up became vice president. Okay, so I'm not going to get into all of that, but y'all know I know all about politics. Pay attention. I mean, I did get a PhD in public administration, right? And that's usually what somebody gets if they want to do be in politics or lobbying or things of that nature, and which at the time I absolutely did. Now, mind you, so she just might choose Gavin Newsom. I have questions. But with that all been said, and listen, let's not forget how Trump, back in 2020, when Kamala dropped out of the race and then she got chosen as VP, Trump said she was trying to backdoor her way into the White House. Y'all remember that? Do you all remember that? Now let's talk about it. Okay, now there's a story that was on Dr. Phil. Okay, and I'm going to show a clip from that where this man was accused of rape by this woman, and he spent about 14 years in prison before being exonerated. And in my opinion, he was very calm about the situation and sat there and, you know, very forgiving. I wouldn't forgive anybody for doing such a thing. I wouldn't care if they said it was a mistake or not. And in my opinion, I want you all to see this woman's reaction, because to me, she basically seems like she's still trying to blame him, or like she still is fearful of him, even though he's been proven not to have done it through DNA. And there is a fact, it's a fact through surveys and research that state that a lot of these people who falsely accuse people, even when DNA evidence exonerates them, some of these accusers still want to say that the person's guilty. They still want to say that. And to me, that's how she was acting. And then crying and all that boo-hoo and making herself into the victim is how I saw it. Now, you all may see it totally different, but she really just had crocodile tears, in my opinion, trying to make herself the object of the, you know, empathy.
Let me introduce you to Dean. I don't believe y'all have met before. Have a seat right here. It's all right, you can have a seat right here. Dean, let me introduce you to Loretta. And this is her husband as well, Monty, and I'm very happy to say that y'all haven't really met before, but here you are. So, Loretta, tell me what you're thinking and feeling right now.
I'm scared to see his face again. It's scary.
And you've seen his face in the meat market, and you've seen his face in court, but you haven't seen his face in an alley, and you haven't seen his face other places, and you get that up here, right?
Yes, sir.
But it's still emotional down here.
Yes.
Tell me what you're thinking and feeling right now.
I just hate that you had to go through something like this. I hate that I had to go through something like this because of this situation. And I hope and pray that we both can get closure in this.
What do you think about what Dean had to say?
I'm sorry that you lost him. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just wanted to tell the truth. I'm so sorry.
You're doing good, Loretta. Stay with us here. I think you need to understand, and some of the things that you haven't heard Dean say, but he gets that you were 15 and he gets that you were hurt really, really bad by somebody. And he hates that for you. What do you want to say about that, Dean?
Yeah, I hate you had to go through something like that. I hate now that you have children, that your kids have to go through something like that. And I hope and pray each day that you can get closure. And this day, I accept your apologies.
What's the hardest thing about this right now, Loretta?
Being here next to him.
What makes that hard?
Because I feel ashamed. I feel like I did something wrong.
Have you accepted in your mind, I know y'all talked about this before and after we talked yesterday, you've accepted in your mind that this is not the person that did this to you?
After talking to you and my husband, yes.
So,
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm annoyed. Please pay attention. She's sitting up there crying, boo-hooing, and all this. That man should be crying. He's the one that did 14 years in prison. And she could miss me with it because I feel like she was just trying to get sympathy and empathy and play the victim. And said, I just wanted to tell the truth by lying. And then says that she's ashamed because I feel like I did something wrong. Well, you did do something wrong. You identified the wrong person. Please pay attention. Okay, please pay attention. But anyway, let me continue because it goes on to say that exonerated man and accuser forged a rare bond. For 16 years, Loretta Zillinger loathed Dean Cage for what she believed he did to her when she was 15 years old. Dressed in her immaculate Catholic school uniform, she was on her way to class October of 1994. She heard footsteps coming up behind. By then, it was too late. A tall man attacked her, hauled her into an empty building, and threatened to kill her. She kept her eyes open as he performed sex acts on her. She used her hands to touch his face. Her fingers traced his nose, his eyes, and his lips. She wanted to remember him. Several days later, Chicago police brought her into the meat market where Dean Cain, a tall black man, worked. A police officer instructed her to identify her attacker by gently tapping the officer's arm. Instead, she wailed frantically. She pointed at Dean Cage. I'm innocent. Cage, then 26 years old, was shocked when the police arrested him. I'm innocent, he said. That didn't matter. 2 years later, in 1996, Zillinger's testimony would convict Cage, sending him to prison for 40 years. Zillinger was absolutely sure. Even his voice sounded like her attacker, she said. After 4 appeals, the 14 years in prison, Cage won its freedom. A sample of the assailant's saliva retrieved from the victim's body in 1994 was the proof he needed. A DNA test, which was not available at the time of the trial, was performed on the saliva and excluded him. Cage was exonerated in May of 2008. Okay, so he was determined to start a new life with his family. He hadn't been able to be the husband, father, and son that he wanted to be during the years in prison. He had postponed a wedding with his fiancée and missed his son's graduation, his sons, plural, graduations. When his elderly mother fell ill, he couldn't care for her, saying, I thought, how could this person say these terrible things about me? The people I hung around knew what kind of a person I was, that I wasn't a rapist. Cage was freed from a state prison in Canton, Illinois, several hundred miles away. In Hobart, Indiana, Loretta Zillinger learned the news of his release. She was petrified. The first thing I asked the prosecutor was to ensure my family would be safe, she recalled. She cried at work when she learned about the news. She cried in the car ride home. She locked herself in her room and cried some more. She was convinced the DNA test was all wrong. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Even when the DNA proves conclusively that this is not the person, they still want to say that it is. And the reason they really want to say it, it's not so much because they don't believe the results are correct. It's because they don't want to admit that they were wrong. Okay, they don't want to admit that they're at fault. They don't want to take accountability for their own actions. That's what that's all about, in my opinion. Because here's the thing. Did she really get a good look at the attacker? Because it says that from her own words, she traced his face with her hands, with her fingers, feeling his eyes and his nose and all of that. Why do you have to do that if you can see him? Was she blindfolded? Why would you need to trace someone's face with your hands when you're looking at them? So I have questions. Did she get a good look at him? Was her vision impaired? Was there something, obstructing her vision? I just have questions. Anyway, goes on to say, meanwhile, Cage's exoneration made the local news. She read comments on news websites that called her a terrible person for putting an innocent man with a family behind bars. She ran into people who knew about her ordeal and told her it's your fault. You see, that's why she's on Phil Donahue crying and boo-hooing and trying to garner sympathy and empathy as if she is the victim. Now, yes, she was a victim of the rape, but at the end of the day, she never lost her freedom. Someone did, and it was all due to things that she said and testified to. Okay, and it is her fault. Now, she was angry at her attacker. She spent years in counseling sessions that ate away at her family's savings. She managed to graduate from high school and then college despite the nightmares that disturbed her sleep. Well, I wonder how many nightmares disturbed his sleep while he was an innocent man wrongly convicted in prison. Now, the sexual assault affected her relationship with her stepfather and her husband. It was hard to trust men, even her 4 little boys. Well, it didn't stop her from having children. But anyway, now that Cage was free, she prayed he would stay away from her. In November of 2009, Zillinger, age 31, packed her bags and headed for Los Angeles, California. Okay, it was her first visit. She was going to share her ordeal with the world on a syndicated Dr. Phil show. She agreed to appear on behalf of the rape victims like herself who were too scared to speak up. But Zillinger had no idea the show would offer her the chance to face the man that she thought attacked her. During the taping, host Phil McGraw, a psychologist, explained the DNA test to her. Filled with anger and grief, Zillinger said that she would have to think about it. She was still confident Cage's DNA results were incorrect. See, that's why she was saying what she said. Let me tell you all something. I'm not going to read all of this because it's a lot and I'm about to get out of here. Thank you. Pretty Wing said also didn't stop her from marrying a black man. Exactly. Okay. Yeah. And the fact that a black man married her after that is amazing to me. But hey, anyway, here's the thing. So she absolutely didn't want to believe the DNA test. That's why she was sitting up there saying that she feels afraid looking at his face again, still victimized or still criminalizing him. And then she says, she's uncomfortable sitting next to him. And then when asked why, she said because she feels ashamed. I don't think it had anything to do with her feeling ashamed. She wants to still paint him as this wicked person who did this to her because then she doesn't have to accept the blame. People are saying it's her fault. People are going in on her. She's receiving backlash. And now she's on this show. So she has to keep up this whole thing like I'm the victim, it wasn't my fault. I just want to do the right thing. I just want to tell the truth. Okay, please pay attention. Now I'm going to tell you what I wonder. I wonder, did this even happen the way she said it? Because sometimes we've seen throughout history, some of these women have been messing around with black men. And when they get caught, or black teenagers, and when they get caught, they'll be quick to lie and say that somebody raped them. Now, if she's so traumatized and all of that, why is she married to one? I just have questions. And then talk about she still can't trust men. She said even her father and her husband and her 4 boys. Well, if you can't trust men to that degree, how can you trust black men after one of them supposedly did that to you? I have a whole lot of questions. I'm not buying what she's selling. I think she's a fake and a fraud. I think that at the end of the day, she knew that she was mistaken. I think that she just may have possibly wanted to just pick someone. Why did the police take her to the meat market? That's what I also want to know. Why did they take her to the meat market to identify the assailant? Why would they think that the person who did it was in the meat market? I have questions because they didn't say necessarily that she was attacked at a meat market. So why would they take her to the meat market? I have questions. Specifically, says that she was on the way home from class, October 1994. She heard footsteps behind her. Then someone hauled her into an empty building and did things to her. Several days later, Chicago police brought her into the meat market where Dean Cage, a tall black man, worked. A police officer instructed her to identify her attacker by gently tapping him on the arm. Now, why would they take her to the meat market where that man worked and then tell her to point out your attacker? Did she tell them that the man worked at the meat market? It sounds to me like maybe the police wanted to take that man in. Maybe they had some kind of vendetta. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But I just wonder why they took her there to see him and then tell her to point out her attacker. Why would they take her to the meat market? She says that the report says she was walking home from school and was taken into an empty building. So why would they say, we're going to take you to this meat market? You go in here and you tell us who did it. Point out your attacker. How did they know the attacker would even be in the meat market on that particular day? That's what you should ask yourselves. The police already had it in for that man. That's the obvious thing, because they knew that man was at work that day. That's the obvious thing. If there was some random person that attacked her on the way from school, how would they know that that person, what are the likelihood or the chances that they know that person's in that meat market on that day that they took her in there and told her to point him out? Unless they knew or thought that the person who did it was someone who worked in that meat market. And how would they know that? How would they know that? Pretty Wing said, good question, Queen. Exactly. Thank you. Okay, I need to be a prosecutor. Pay attention. I have questions. Okay, I know I need to be a defense attorney. Okay, at the end of the day, I have a whole lot of questions. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to do some more research on this story because I have questions, seriously. Okay, Influencer, I say it sounds plausible to me because CPD is corrupt as hell. Yes, they are. They absolutely are. We already know that. In fact, most police departments are, in fact, as far as I'm concerned. So let's talk about it. At the end of the day, something sounds suspicious. Danielle said, Queen, I need you for a lawyer. Thank you, beloved. Okay. Missy said his defense lawyer also needs to be sued. Well, you can't really blame the defense attorney if he did a good and thorough job. I don't know that he did, but if he did a good job, you can't blame him for the loss, because what they did was they went by the witness testimony. And here's the thing. Eyewitness testimony, as I've told you all, because I studied this extensively when I was going to school or college for criminal justice. Eyewitness testimony is like 75%. Okay, it's only like 75% accurate and probably even less than that nowadays. It's not 100% conclusive. And I told you how we had experiments where we'd be sitting in class and someone would randomly run in, snatch something off the podium the professor was at, and run out of the room. And then we'd all be asked, what did the person look like? What were they wearing? What color hair and all of this? And it was many different answers. There was only a few of us who gave accurate, detailed descriptions of how the person looked. Because most people are not very observant, don't watch their surroundings. And then also most people, when they're in a panic or a frightened state, they don't really think clearly. So eyewitness testimony should never, in my opinion, be the sole evidence to which someone is convicted. There should always be some more evidence to go along with that, specifically DNA evidence. Now, they say they didn't have DNA testing back then, but as soon as they got it, that should have been the first thing they did, instead of that man sitting there waiting 14 years in prison after all these numerous appeals. Okay. With that all being said, everyone, please like and share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. All right, I hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And I hope to see you all in the morning for your morning wake-up call.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got